Hello.
We are live.
We are. Here we are. This is our first try at a video series we want to try to put out just to see how it goes. I'm Terry.
And I'm Terry.
And we are TnT. And we met in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
Terry was invited to come on a ski trip that my husband and I were leading. My husband's a pastor. And we were taking the singles out to Colorado. And there was a very handsome, eligible bachelor who invited Terry and just said he was bringing a friend. And I remember the friend, when she stepped off the bus, I was like, oh, Bob has a friend. Wonderful. This is awesome. And what do you remember about that?
I remember just being invited into a group up here in Kansas City, and with Bob, you know, we are both from St. Louis, and so he was a physician up here, and I ended up, after that ski trip, about a couple of years later, moving up, and we started dating. Yeah. So I remember Michael and Terry, and I think you had Mikey at the time, but not Steve. So, yeah, so it was just, I felt very welcomed. I loved Kansas City and just wanted to be more of a part. I remember on that ski trip, though, I had hurt my knee, and I felt like the Lord, just one of the things when I was following Bob, that I felt like I could keep up. That was just one of the impressions that I felt like with his lifestyle that I could keep up. So that was one of the impressions I felt on that trip.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I just felt I was very happy that Bob had a friend like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought he was bringing a guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good thing your name was Terry too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we live here in the Kansas City area. And Bob is a doctor, my husband's a pastor. I have 5 kids, and she has 3.
3.
And so we've been together ever since then, and different levels of friendship. But several years ago, something just happened, and we became close friends. And I just have been so grateful for that. She's just a kindred spirit, and we just like being together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very fun. My oldest has cerebral palsy, so that has kind of put us on a journey, which life usually does. You don't really think about, you have an idea of what your life is going to look like and what you want it to look like, but then God gives us surprises. And so Joe was born in 97 and has cerebral palsy, and I think that has just again set us on a journey different than what we thought. And then when Terry had her illness, I think that's when, because we were just having all these prayer meetings for Joe, and so I think that's when we really started connecting more. And then Joe actually today is going to give his testimony. He's a sophomore at Mid-American Nazarene College, and he's going to give his testimony today in his evangelism class, and he's going to speak on the night that we were at Terry's house, and that it was like a 2-hour prayer meeting, and he was sitting on the couch next to Michael, and Terry was in a lot of pain, and after about 2 hours, Joe sits up in his chair and says, "I feel fire in my bones." And Michael laughed and chuckled. The whole living room was filled with all of our good friends, and said, "Joe, I do too." And so it's interesting because on the way home, so Joe was 7 at the time, Anna was 5, and Carter was 3. On the way home, Joe said, so this was 2 hours later, Joe said, "Mom, can we do that every Monday night?" And Anna said, "You know, Joe, not many 7-year-olds can do a 2-hour prayer meeting." And my husband piped in and said, "Well, Anna, not many 5-year-olds realize that a 7-year-old can't do, a 2-hour prayer meeting." Yeah. But I think it was from then, and then Joe had that word for you. I don't know how many prayer meetings later, but that you would get healed on May 27th.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And there was a significant healing at that point that you went to a prayer meeting, I think down in Arkansas.
I went to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just amazed me the amount of support that I got when I was in my darkest hour. I mean, I had no idea. And it was so deeply touching to me that it's a young man in a wheelchair who's just so incredibly fervently praying for me and so unaware that, you know, his own healing still was out there. And I'm still believing for him to have his full healing.
Right, right.
So, yeah, that was when we had a deeper intersection.
Right.
Than ever. But I do remember when you came and visited me at the plaza. I think it was before that time.
And yes, and you became Fun Mama.
I became Fun Mama.
Yeah.
And that was a great honor.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, because you were working on the plaza, and Lisa lived with us with the Master's Commission program.
Right.
And so Joe was, Anna was probably 15 months. Joe was, you know, a little over 3 when Lisa moved in, and all Joe could get out was Lee. He could not get
her Lee.
Yeah, he called her Lee. and then Lisa was able to teach Anna how to walk, and so it was just our lives kept intersecting, you know, at different points, but you came over and played. At our house, and you got down on your hands and knees crawling around the living room, and then Joe said, "Oh, Fun Mama," because Bob's mom was called Mama, and so you were a Fun Mama, and so that was that. Again, it was just that those intersections that have been precious in developing a lifelong friendship. So
yeah, it's such a gift.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes, all I need is a child for me to go into my
Fun Mama
mode, because I just love to act like an idiot. Maybe I don't know. I love to get down on a child's level and just enter into the joy that they feel of just being alive. And so it just keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
Right now, our daughter Lisa, that lived with her, is living with us. She and her family, and I just love waking up in the mornings to those little faces, and sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're not, but they're real.
Yeah.
And it's just a real gift. So.
Well, and I think too, we've always looked, talk about your family, we've always have said if our kids turn out like the Sullivant kids, we would be very happy, because you and Michael have just done an amazing job of raising 5 kids in a pastor's setting. You know, and just, now I can't say every pastor's kid has gleaned what you have given your kids. And so, very remarkable family. And so, again, just amazed when, after we brought Joe home from the hospital, you guys came over and all your kids, your 3 youngest were there. So that would have been Sam, Mikey, and Steve. And praying for us, and I think that's when you saw Joe standing before the Lord,
Yes,
worshiping the Son.
right.
So, and at that point, he had been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, but nothing. He wasn't able to do anything yet. In fact, he could hardly move his arms, this high. But you saw him stretched out, worshiping the Son.
When I prayed for him, I had a picture that I knew was from the Lord, that he was just walking continually towards the sun with his arms lifted high. And he started out on a tricycle, and then he rode a bicycle, and then he rode a unicycle.
Right.
And I remember after I gave that to you, you went out and found a unicycle.
We were at a garage sale, and there was a unicycle, and I thought, I'm getting it. And
Absolutely.
so, just, again, those tokens from the Lord, keep going, keep believing. And he does it all the time if we just kind of keep our ear in tuned and our eyes open wide to see what he has for us. Yeah. So, yeah. And then it was not much longer after that, I'd gone to a healing prayer meeting, and Joe was able to lift his hands above his head. So that was probably 2 weeks after your word, which he had never done before. He could never elevate above his shoulder. So that was really cool. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
know.
it. I can't wait to the day that he stands up and walks.
Yes.
And then runs and does
Rides that
everything
unicycle.
that's been in his heart to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, we were having a birthday lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I remember because we were at like North at an Italian restaurant
Right.
around the corner.
Right.
And I just had some stirrings about us just meeting together and praying about what we might do together to be a voice, because we both have it in our hearts to be a voice in some way to encourage other people.
Right.
And when Terri came, she said, you know, I just have this thing in my mind that we are TnT.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said that, something just exploded inside of me. And I thought, you know, there's going to be power by us doing this together. You know, the Bible says that 1 puts 1,000 to flight and 2 put 10,000 to flight. But there's just exponential good that comes when we are together, moving in the same direction with the same heart on the same path. So that's why we're doing this. That's why we started this. And we're going to just continue and see how it unfolds. But this is our maiden voyage together.
Yeah.